This video is to show you how to install the Australian SimaPro database in a new installation of SimaPro. So assuming you've already gone through the installation part for putting SimaPro on your computer, the first thing to do is to open up SimaPro, and I've got a multi-user here, but it's pretty much the same with a single user. So I open SimaPro up, and the default database which is installed is called Professional, so I'll open that. In the professional database comes all the libraries except the Australian data, which isn't in there as yet, so this tutorial is to show you how to import it. To get the Australian database, we open up a web browser and go to the SimaPro site, and the address of the SimaPro site is simapro.lifecycles, plural one word, lifecycles.com.au. And when you get there, click on LCA data, Australasian LCI, and you'll see a bunch of files. What you need for new users, assuming you've installed SimaPro 7.2, which is the latest version, is the Australasian LCI 2010 NU72, which is the one with the new database. So we'll need to download that file, click on it, and save it. In my case, that'll save to the desktop. Just remember where it saves to on your computer. Okay, so mine's downloaded. I can now close the web page. You might want to note here there is also for later reference, a database manual for using the Australian database, which has tips and clues on some of the parameters that are used and the data sources in the database. So you may want to get that while you're here, but we don't need that for now. So I'll close the web page. I now need to browse to my desktop in my case, where the file will have downloaded to, and I'll have to find the file. There is Australasian 2004, no that's not it, NU72. It's a zip file of a SimaPro backup. So I have to extract the file, and I've extracted it. I think I've extracted it onto the desktop. I hope so. So now I just check that the file is on my desktop. There it is, Australasian LCI 2010 NU72 SP backup. So that's the file we need to restore from within SimaPro. So now I'll click on SimaPro, which I opened before, and I go File, Database Management, Restore. It says I'll close the current database. Yes, that's okay. And now we need to browse and find wherever that backup file is saved on your computer. In my case, I've saved it to the desktop, and I have a couple of others sitting here as well, but I'll get the right one. There it is. Sometimes if you're using a unzip program, it may put into a temp file, so just be aware where it's been put. Click open. It will come up with an existing name of the database. So the database is Australasian LCI 2010 4NU. I'm going to put it in my default SimaPro folder, which is Users Public Documents SimaPro Database. And I just have to press save, and it'll actually save that file name down there. That's the file name it will use to save the database. Now this database contains two libraries, two versions of the Australian library, a system process version and a unit process version. And so we won't use them out of that library that we begin. What we want to do is import those libraries from the database that we are restoring now. Once it's completed the restore process, which can take quite a while on older computers, we can need to go back and open up our existing database called Professional first. So it says the database is ready. Do I want to open it? I'll say no, I don't want to open that database. What I want to do is go back to my database called Professional, which is the default one supplied by SimaPro. Now just before we do the import, I just want to change 3 units to make them consistent with what I use in the Australian database, with comments from users that they'd like to see tons used spelt T-O-N-N-E rather than T-O-N, as it traditionally was done in SimaPro when we had less room for fields. So if you click along the SimaPro Explorer down here to General Data, to units under general data, and if your units aren't already sorted, sort by quantity. Just click on the quantity column and browse down to mass, and under mass you'll see lots of different units which are supplied. What I want to do is just edit 3 of them, and to do that you basically double click on TON. It pops up in a dialog, and you can actually just click inside the field TON and add a NE onto the end of that. Click OK. You'll notice there's also a T for ton, which you might prefer to use that. But you'll find that data is actually, this will actually rename lots of data fields in there to TONNE. And click on KTON, and we'll drop that back, take the ON off of that. Click OK, and click MTN, and take the N off that. If you don't do this, it's not a problem. It just means you'll have multiple names for these units in your eventual database, some that come from the Australian database and some that come from this. So now we're ready to import the Australian data. I go to File, Import SimaPro Database. Importing, say it may replace existing things. In this case it won't, because you're importing new data, but you say yes. We browse to the database which we want to import, Australian LCI 2010. Double click. It says there's 2 libraries. Okay, we select both of those libraries on the main tab. Then very importantly, we click on General Objects and we select Database Parameters. Very important you do that, or else your database won't be able to calculate, because there are parameters there which are required for the Australian database. Select Import. It'll scan the data and check that everything's compatible for the import, and then it will ask us to actually save a backup of our existing database before it completes the import. So it's just scanning through. Okay, summary is going to import 2 projects, 1,019 processes, 1,119 processes. Okay, I click OK, checks the verification, and we click OK to say yes, you can save a backup. Give the backup a name called Professional. Prior to backup, you can choose whatever you like. You should be backing up quite regularly anyway once you start using SimaPro actively to protect your data from losses or corruption. And this is the process you use, the file database backup process. This may take a little while, can take 5, 10, if you've got a very big database it can take half an hour. So it's going through, compressing the existing database, writing it off in that file. Okay, now it's importing the database, the new data, the 2 Australian libraries, into your professional database. Adding those 2 Australian libraries, which are essentially the same. One's a system process, so they're full aggregated inventories, sort of black boxes if you like, and the unit process library has all the detail in it. So it's almost completed. There we go, it's successfully completed. So now if I open up a project, and I'll go into the tutorial with wood project, you can see here the 2 Australasian libraries, system process and unit process. So now whenever you do a project, you can select under the libraries the 2 Australian libraries. Generally you'd use one or the other at any particular time, given that there's exactly the same data, just different forms of the Australian data. So we'll look at the Australasian unit process library, and you'll know it's here and how to find it in your database, because when you click on, say, gases, you'll be able to see lots of data, and here is the Australasian data, and generally it's in the same category as the echo and vent data. So good luck using it, and check out the manual for the database, which has a lot of information on how to use the data effectively. Thanks.